Once again, thank you so much, Maimuna Diop, for taking the time to be able to share with our audience what has been your experience with us here at Working For You. That's the name of our company, Working
Mhm.
For You, in the process of obtaining your tax ID number. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what college you attend, what's your immigration status, etc.?
Yes, as you mentioned, my name is Maimuna Diop. I graduated from Brooklyn College. I'm currently in a fellowship with John Jay in the Immigrant Student Success Center. I graduated with a bachelor's in arts and I studied sociology and political science.
Great. And you had mentioned that you are undocumented, is that correct?
Yes, I am undocumented.
And how is it that you met us? How is it that you learned about our services?
I learned about your services through Denise Favar, who is the specialist at the Immigrant Student Success Center at John Jay. I work with her. She's my supervisor, and she introduced me to you. She's amazing because she knew my status and she knew that having a tax ID number could help me in multiple ways. And I expressed to her that I had issues beforehand applying for one. So she introduced me to you and as well as for work for you.
So, when Denise introduced us, you just mentioned that you had previously tried to obtain your tax ID number on your own and you had some difficulties. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I applied in 2021. It was freshly out of the pandemic, but it could have been the reason why I ran into these issues. But I applied on my own. At the point I was still in undergrad, I didn't have like any support. I sent in my passport. I filed the W-2, I believe it is, or just the form to have an ITIN, but I never filed like taxes or it was just the application was incomplete because I did it on my own. And I was unaware of this until I met you, of course. Yeah.
So once you met us and we started helping you, um, just so the people that are watching this video today, what we did for you is we first analyzed your case. We saw perhaps what the issues were when you tried to file it on your own the first time, and we were able to fix those issues and coach you through the process. So coaching was not just telling you what forms need to be filled out, but we actually helped you fill out the forms. The
Mhm.
W-7 form, which is the application for the tax ID number, as well as preparing your individual income tax return, which is required by the IRS to go alongside your W-7 form, your application for the tax ID number, in order
Yeah.
for them to issue you a tax ID number. Throughout the process that you worked with us, um, with our advising, with our coaching, how did you feel through that process?
I felt supported. I felt it was kind of road bumps along the way. I think one of the road bumps was like I couldn't find an office that would take my passport and say it's like it's a real ID and or like yeah this is like her ID because I remember one of the issues I had beforehand was like sending in my passport and it's like the only ID I have. So like for 6 months I didn't have any ID just to not like end up getting the ITIN. So throughout it felt like I had that support where if I had a road bump, I can reach out to you all and I was supported. So it felt more grounded and safer than the route I took beforehand.
So you felt a bit more secure about the process.
Yes, definitely.
I see. So when we started helping you and we filled out your W-7 form, the income tax application form, as well as the individual income tax return forms, we then coached you through the process of going to the office, IRS office, to be able to actually get an IRS agent to approve the forms. And then after that, we coached you through the process of how to mail it in into the IRS, etc. And then eventually you got awarded your tax ID number. How did you feel when you got that letter with your tax ID number?
I definitely felt surprised because it came 2 months after I applied, and I know the process can take up most of like 9 months. So I was surprised and I was excited because I was like, okay, like it didn't work out the first time, but it wasn't the time for me to have it. And now it worked out the second time because I like had the support, as I mentioned with you all, and like it felt like I felt relieved and also surprised. It was like, okay, it's out the way. Like step one.
That's amazing. Now,
Mhm.
can you tell us why is having a tax ID number for you so important?
Yes, I think as a recent graduate, I've run into issues where if I want to apply for a fellowship, if I want to apply for a scholarship, or um, things that I know with my status I can obtain, because some jobs obviously are out of the question with like a without a work authorization or a social security number. So the opportunity that I can apply for would need to hire me as an independent contractor, or would need a tax ID number for me to file taxes in order to pay me or to award me um, whatever it is that they are offering to pay me, like whether it's a stipend or if it is like working on an hourly basis. It allows me to, there's more doors open for me in terms of receiving opportunities, especially because after you graduate, there's kind of just like this really awkward phase where you don't know for everyone. None, and then like for me, my situation is like I'm undocumented, so it's even more awkward. So it was very important that I obtained it so that I can, the opportunities that I can go after, there is not a barrier stopping me once again.
That is so great. The fact that you have found a way to be able to actually take advantage of these opportunities by having a tax ID number. If there is any one particular advantage or benefit that you feel you received from us, from working for you, what would you say that benefit was?
There was definitely a benefit to, as I mentioned, like the security of having support, and also that it you guys are doing this as like a initiative to support CUNY students, so it doesn't feel like someone who is just clocking in and clocking out, and it's like you're just like another client. It felt more personal, which is like very beneficial when you are in a very awkward phase with your status and having to express it and like be like, I need this for this reason. You, I didn't feel like I had to hold back, so that was very helpful.
So your level of trust towards us, would you say was medium, low, or high?
Definitely high, yeah. I trust Denise who introduced us all, and I think our first meeting was able to trust you because you were understanding with my status. You work with Denise, and you know what she does in the center, so you also are understanding of like why it's important for undergraduate students of all statuses to have an ITIN. So because you understood me and you understood like why you were doing this and the cost for it all, I definitely was trusting of the process and of you all.
So one of the things that you mentioned is very important for our audience to learn is that at the head of this company working for you, which is myself, the president and founder, I at one point was also undocumented
Mm.
many years ago. And so what you did mention is true. We don't just do this as a job where we clock in and clock out. We do this with a purpose, a social purpose. We want to be able to help, especially those that are struggling or had difficulties obtaining a tax ID number, preparing their tax return, starting a business. We do all of that for them here at Working For You. One last question for you, Maimuna. If you had the opportunity to be in front of the school board for CUNY colleges, and they asked you, what is your opinion about working for you? And what do you think that they can bring in into the colleges and into students? What would you tell them?
I would say my opinion is very high. I would say that Working For You is a program that is needed in CUNY. As I mentioned, when you are an undergrad, it feels like everything should be mapped out for you after you graduate. It's like, oh, I have my degree. But I think we all know that's not the case for anyone. So Working For You is beneficial to all CUNY students, especially CUNY students who are undocumented or have mixed statuses, because this way they can get ahead of the game. Like you are gonna have to, taxes will be taken out of you when you get a salary job. Or like if you want to apply for fellowships, if you want to apply for scholarships, they're most likely going to need to take taxes out, and you'll need an ITIN, and just to understand the process of it as well. Even if you don't want one, it's beneficial for Working For You to be in these spaces to just educate. as many students as possible, because we are hyper focused on our degree, but also as we come out into the real world, there are so many other things we have to focus on, and taxes is one of them. So of course, having someone come in and share that experience and expertise is very beneficial.
Thank you again for those words, Maimuna. Really appreciate it. It was great working for you, and I look forward to continue working for you in the upcoming years, hopefully in the income tax preparation stages of your life. Thank you again for your time, and I'm sure that this will help many people trust working for you. Thank you again, Maimuna.
Thank you. Thank you for all your help.